Hi, in this video we will learn how to add Spring Boot Actuator endpoints and understand why is it needed. Basically, endpoints are the exposure for us to interact with the application. There are built-in endpoints provided by Spring Boot which helps developers to understand the parameters of the application. For example, health endpoint provides basic application health information. The endpoints exposed are usually on HTTP monitoring, where the ID of the endpoint is mapped to a URL. So by default, health endpoint will be mapped to /health. Let's discuss some endpoints which are most commonly used and important from the industry perspective. First one is the health, shows application health information. That is, when the application is secure, a simple status when accessed, or an unauthenticated connection, or full message details when authenticated. So this basically depends on the authentication you have provided for your application. So health information can be used to check the status of your running application. It is often used by monitoring software to alert someone if a production system goes down. So you need to have something which is monitoring, okay, your application. So if you access /health, the status of it will give all the information about the application. Okay, for example, if the production system goes down, it says it is down. Okay, we will see a demo of this. This is the application that we ran in the last video. Okay, and I have written a small REST controller which has a request mapping with /hi. Okay, I have a Java method called say hi which just returns a string, says hey, how are you doing. Okay, this is a simple Java class annotated with at REST controller. Okay, you can check my previous videos which explains you in detail as to how to add a REST controller for a Spring Boot application, right? So I have a Postman as a client, okay, to give us all the information about the HTTP requests and response, and this also helps to get a JSON response, right? So let's quickly get started with a demo of /health. So my application is up and running here. So before we get into that, we have a couple of things that we need to do over here. One is the pom.xml. In the pom.xml, we need to add a dependency. What is that? Okay, that is something called a Spring Boot Starter Actuator. Okay, these are the 4 lines that I have added for a Spring Boot Starter Actuator endpoints. Right, so in the Maven build, if you add this dependency, save the project, all the dependencies will get saved for your project automatically. You need not have to do anything. That is the specialty of pom.xml. Okay, the second thing is in the application.properties, I have used this. Okay, this is some information for you as of now. Okay, and this is the most important thing. Now, for example, in management.security.enabled, if this is true, okay, you will have to provide all authentication mechanisms to check the status of the application. So basically, when the endpoints are the exposure for the developers to monitor an application, you need to have authentication mechanisms providing you access, right? So if you don't have that access, you will not be able to talk to the application. You will not be able to get information from the application. So this will be added in the details of the video, okay, and in the description of the video. Okay, so I have my application up and running now. I have just ran my Spring Boot application as a simple Java application. So when I do that, I have got this as a result wherein /hi is mapped. Okay, and see, these are the things which I have got as Spring Boot Actuator endpoints. Okay, we will discuss some of the of these which are very important from industry perspective. Okay, so here you can see it has started. Okay, the demo application has been started. So let's get quickly get started with the demonstration using Postman. So this is my application which has 404. I say here hi, and I get hey, how are you doing, which is the string which we are supposed to get as a REST controller, right? So if I give slash health, so you can see the status up here, okay, and there are a lot of other information as well, right? So in this we also have something called beans. Okay, so what does beans do? It displays a complete list of all the spring beans in your application, right? There's also something called dump, which performs a thread dump. Loggers, which shows and modifies the configuration of loggers in the application. This is very similar to log4j.xml. I will show that as well. And the metrics, which shows some metrics information for the current application. And the mappings displays a collated list of all at request mapping paths. So for example, your Spring Boot application has 100 request mapping paths. This slash mappings will provide a list of all of them, right? Even, and the last is the trace, wherein it displays trace information, and by default it provides the last 100 HTTP requests. Okay, so let's check all of these here in the Postman. So I have shown you health. Okay, so let's go to beans, which should shows all the beans present in our application. Okay, see here, these are the beans which are currently present and active in the Spring Boot application. So here you can see my REST, which is our REST controller which I have added, and this is the demo application. These are the two beans that we have added, right? So the next thing which I have explained you is the dump, right? So this basically performs a thread dump, right? Here, see, you can see all these are information related to the threads, right? So there is a destroy Java VM thread. Okay, there are several other thread related information here. So basically explaining you the exposures to talk to the application, right? So the next is the loggers. Okay, here you can see the levels of logging information. The first one is off, error, one is warning, information, debug, trace, etc. Right? So this, if you have a servlet application, you are aware of log4j.xml logging mechanisms, you can relate that to this, right? So the next is the metrics. Okay, so this is the matrix related information, right? So you can see the heap information over here and the garbage collection, all of the stuff in the matrix. We'll have a look at the mappings. Here you can see the mappings, right? So you can see a request mapping, handler mapping, right? Okay, so these are the request mappings, and we will see trace, right? This is the trace. Okay, so in this video we saw a lot of information about Spring Boot actuators. Okay, and there is one more thing, an important one, which is called env. Okay, using this you can check the environment. See here, you can see the Java runtime environment. Okay, its path, the JRE path, and all other information. This is basically your environment. Okay, here you can see the class path, you can see the all the class path information. Okay, for example, ant home, Java home. All right, this is very important. Even this I will include in the description. Please subscribe to my channel, Learning and Teaching. Thank you very much for watching.